Hello there, welcome back to the Havilland Aircraft Museum. I'm Alistair, the curator. This has to be our pride and joy, really. This is the first prototype de Havilland DH98 Mosquito. We've seen from earlier posts and earlier videos how Geoffrey de Havilland developed the plywood balsa wood laminate technique for the DH98 Comet Racer, which was successful in the 1934 air race to Australia. He built an airliner after that using substantially the same technique. And then he conceived the idea that this would work equally well for an unarmed light bomber for use for the Royal Air Force. Now he put the idea to the government that it would have several advantages basically. First of all, if you build an aeroplane this way, it'll be so light that nothing will be able to, it will fly very high, very fast, nothing will be able to fly above it or behind it as fast as to shoot it down. Therefore it will be immune from attack, so its defence will be its height and speed. It won't need turrets all over it, which add weight and they add drag. And thus, if you eliminate all of that, you've made your aeroplane even higher and faster flying. So he got that idea. He also said to the government that if you make an aircraft out of this, wood is an easy material to get hold of in wartime, whereas metal, aluminium, is not. So it would have advantages in that sense as well. The government turned him down. They said they weren't very interested in this idea and they told him to go away. He went away, but he didn't drop the idea, and he kept going. And in 1939, he finally had his idea accepted. He had a friend in high places in the Air Ministry called Sir Wilfrid Freeman, who believed in him, and together they managed to convince the government to order one single aircraft, one single prototype, which they ordered just after Christmas 1939. Now, Geoffrey came back to the factory at Hatfield and he said, right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to build this aircraft. We're not going to build it here because this is a security risk. We are going to go somewhere nice and safe and secure. We're going to go to Salisbury Hall in London Colney, which has just come onto the market, and that's where we're going to do our work. And that's exactly what they did. Salisbury Hall, of course, is just across the way there. It's where this museum is located. So we are actually the home of this aircraft. So they moved in for Christmas in 1939, and in 11 months they designed and they built the first Mosquito. They didn't fly it from here because we're not an airfield, never have been. So when it was complete, they dismantled it here, took it by road back up to Hatfield, reassembled it, and it first flew on November the 25th, 1940. It didn't take them long to realise they had a winner on their hands. In terms of its performance, its speed, its height performance, everything else, it was absolutely marvellous. And the Air Ministry by this stage were absolutely convinced about it. They placed a very small order while the first prototype was in production, a small order for 50 aeroplanes, and they said, yeah, fine, we'd like more of these. Construction-wise, it's built exactly the same as that Comet Racer. It's this laminate of plywood and balsa wood built in two halves, and glued together with a joint down the middle. The wing is a single wing from tip to tip, about 50-foot wingspan, and it's made out of a box section of spruce wood covered over in plywood. Now, these bomb doors come off, and there's another panel comes off there, and so you've basically got a cutout into which the wing fits, and it's locked together a bit like a mortise joint between two pieces of wood, and the thing is bolted up by these bolts here. They're very strong bolts and quite thick bolts, but there's only 4 of them that are used, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and that's all that holds the Mosquito together, 4 bolts. 2 big powerful engines, Rolls-Royce Merlin engines, and there's the aircraft. So the government were extremely impressed with this setup, but they did say to de Havilland, we've got a problem with this because the rest of the industry is building aeroplanes out of aluminium and riveting and sheeting and things like that. You're proposing to build these things on half moulds and things like that. How do you propose to mass produce them? And Geoffrey de Havilland said, I don't, actually. I propose to get the furniture industry to mass produce them for me. And that's exactly what happened. By the end of production, 7,781 Mosquitoes were built. Of that, around 6,000 were built in the UK, the rest in Canada and Australia. The 6,000 that were built in the UK, the vast majority of them were built by firms like Parker Knoll, Gom's Furniture, ESA, the school desk manufacturers in Stevenage. They're the people that built the Mosquito, and they were assembled at Hatfield by de Havilland or at Leavesden by de Havilland as well. And that really is the story of the Mosquito, of which this is the very first example. Hope you enjoyed that. Come and see it. You've got to come and see it. We're very proud of it. See us when you're open, when we're open again. Meanwhile, stay tuned, stay safe, stay well, keep in touch.